Welcome back to America Decides. Climate change has not been one of the key talking points in this election cycle when compared to other issues like the economy or immigration. But the planet's future is still on the minds of many voters. To mark New York City Climate Week, we're exploring the intersection of climate with the presidential race. National environmental correspondent David Schechter joins us now to discuss. David, it is so great to see you. And research shows when it comes to climate change, there is this disconnect between voters who are overwhelmingly concerned about our overheating planet and the politicians that represent them. How wide is that disconnect?
It's a great question. You know, there's some really well done research from Yale University, and it shows 70% of Americans now think global warming will hurt future generations, and 62% say Congress should do more about it. But in many cases, we found their elected officials have voted against efforts to combat climate change, particularly by voting against the Inflation Reduction Act, which made more than $391 billion available for climate solutions. The IRA is the most significant piece of climate legislation in American history. Tony Leiserowitz from Yale did this public opinion research.
If nobody's knocking on the political leader's door, if nobody's showing up at their town halls, if nobody's calling their office and saying, I want you to take action, I want you to lead on this issue, then they conclude that this is an issue that their constituents don't care about. It's not true, but they're not hearing it enough from their voters.
So, David, this CBS News project investigates what that disconnect looks like in congressional districts across the country. And you went to the swing state of Georgia. What did you find there?
Well, I went to Georgia's 1st congressional district, which is around Savannah, which is a beautiful place to visit. And I met with Republican Buddy Carter in his reliably red district. 53% of his constituents say they are worried about climate change and how it will impact future generations. But Carter votes against environmental issues 96% of the time, and he voted against the Inflation Reduction Act. In fact, every Republican in Congress voted against it. Carter told me he was opposed to a non-climate provision in that bill that lowered the cost of prescription drugs, but he said stifled innovation. Is there a contradiction in benefiting from the IRA, but then also saying, I'm not going to vote for this thing?
Why did the leadership put all that together? Why didn't they let us vote on it separately? It probably would have gotten some Republican votes if they had let us do that.
Mm-hmm. You think so?
I'm sure it would.
Would you have voted for it if it was standalone?
You know, I didn't look at it. That was so egregious to me, the prescription drug portion, that's all it took.
That's an interesting exchange. So that's Georgia, but how about the rest of the country?
Yeah. So it's an interesting question. You know, with billions of dollars are now flowing to communities across the country from the Inflation Reduction Act, kicking off a green energy boom. 2/3 of that money is going to Republican districts like Carter's. Our CBS reporters at stations across the country have been talking to voters who want climate action, but are also finding that some of their elected officials are still casting doubt on the seriousness of this problem that we all face, which is climate change.
Yep, voters have long been ahead of lawmakers on this issue. We're looking forward to the full report. David Schechter, thanks so much.